Hello, children. How are you? Hope you all are fine. Today we will be looking at another poem, Money Madness by D.H. Lawrence. Like all other poems, we will learn about the poet, the poem, its background, theme, style, different poetic devices used in this poem. So, first we will see the poet. Poet is D.H. Lawrence, and he is a 20th century English writer, novelist, poet, playwright, essayist, literary critic, and a painter. Most of his works are about dehumanizing effects of modernity and industrialization. Because of the modern age conditions, our emotional health, attitude, psychological instincts all suffer from some issues, and these all issues have been clearly reflected in his most of the works. Now let's see the style of this poem. This poem is written in free verse. Okay, so free verse is a free writing without any meter or rhyme. So it doesn't have any rhymed lines or any definite meter pattern. Okay, now let's see the central idea of the poem that the poet wants to convey. In this present materialistic world, people are so invested in the race to aggregate money that they are willing to sacrifice their morals and sanity. So let's see how this poem exposes the consumerist world's burning desire for assembling adequate wealth, treasure, and its unnatural obsession with money. Okay, so now let's move towards the first stanza. Money is our madness, our vast collective madness, and of course, if the multitude is mad, the individual carries his own grain of insanity around with him. I doubt if any man living hands out a pound note without a pang and a real tremor if he hands out a 10-pound note. So here the poet tells that we are mad after money. And it's a vast collective madness. It's an issue of large number of people. It's not an individual matter. Almost all people are crazy for money. When the multitude is mad, when the rich, poor, men, women all run after money, it's difficult on part of an individual. It's difficult on part of a single person to refrain himself from money, to keep himself away from money. Okay? So an individual also follows the same path of accumulating a large amount of money by legal or illegal, by honest or dishonest, any means. So everybody wants his pocket to be full. Okay, and nobody wants to donate one, to hand out, means to give money generously, okay, unhesitantly. Okay, so the poet here is lamenting, is expressing his sadness for lack of charitability that is found in humanity. Okay, so nobody is willing to give even a pound. Pound is a British currency, and it is equal to 103 rupees, around 103 rupees in Indian currency. So when it is a matter of giving 1 pound to somebody else without any self benefit, then it is with pain. So nobody is willing to give without pang, without any pain, even a pound. And if it is a matter of 10-pound note, then it is even serious. He will have real tremor. Tremor means involuntary movement disorder. His hands will literally shake before giving 10 pound to anybody else. So here the poet is expressing about how money madness makes people miser, because they all run after amassing, gathering money to show themselves socially dignified, powerful, and well-positioned individuals. So they hardly intend to give any money to anybody else. Now let's move to the next stanza. We quail, money makes us quail. It has got us down. We grovel before it in strange terror, and no wonder, for money has a fearful, cruel power among men. So we quail. Quail means feel fear. So we are afraid of. What makes us fearful? Money makes us fearful. Why? Because money has the power to get somebody down. If you don't have it, you grovel before it. Grovel means to crouch, to kneel down, to bow down before it. Because money has a fearful, cruel power among people. People having much money treat you cruelly, mercilessly. They want to show off themselves. They exert inhuman power on you. Now let's move to the next stanza. But it is not money we are so terrified of. It is the collective money madness of mankind. For mankind says with one voice, how much is he worth? Has he no money? Then let him eat dirt and go cold. So here in this stanza, the poet tells that actually we are not afraid of money because money is not a monster by itself, but the hunger for money, the appetite for money, the craze for gathering a lot of money is an unhealthy competition today. So it's a clearly collective money madness. It's a common voice of all that the mankind today has changed its perception of judging somebody, evaluating somebody. Today, people do not evaluate a person on the basis of his honesty, integrity, sincerity, but the point of view of the people of judging somebody is his possession, his wealth acquisition. People ask about a man, how much has he? Has he enough money? If not, then that person is completely degraded, he is devalued, he is dishonored, he is discarded. People say him, let him eat dirt and go cold. So dirt here, eat rubbish and let him perish, let him finish. Okay. So here the poet tells that how a poor man is condemned, he is blamed, he is regarded as unfit and liable to suffer. Now let's move to the next stanza. And if I have no money, they will give me a little bread, so I do not die. But they will make me eat dirt with it. I shall have to eat dirt. I shall have to eat dirt. If I have no money, it is that I am frightened of. And that fear can become a delirium. It is fear of my money mad fellow men. Here the poet tells that if somebody has no money, people hardly sympathize with him. If somebody is hungry, because of poverty, people will offer the minimum at best, only to sustain, but never with good food. Rather, they will leave him to eat dirt. This is a pure fear of money mad people. This is a delirium, means a wild mental disorder, the disturbed state of mind. And this is a common characteristic of money mad fellow men. Now let's move to the next stanza. We must have some money to save us from eating dirt, and this is all wrong. So what should we do to save ourselves from eating dirt? Should we have sufficient money? The poet discards this theory of insane worship of money. He discards this very narrow opinion of money mad people. Then what does the poet suggest? Now let's move to the next stanza. Bread should be free. Shelter should be free, fire should be free to all and anybody all over the world. So the poet here foresees a society of money sanity, a society of sound mental health about money, where bread, shelter, fire all are free for all and anybody, means free for everybody, because everybody has the right to food, home and warmth. Okay, this is the basic need of a human being. So, for these demand of basic needs, people make crimes. And if they are provided with the minimum requirement, then there would be no crime, no violation, no misdeeds. Okay, now let's move to the last stanza. We must regain our sanity about money before we start killing one another about it. It is one thing or the other. So here at the end part of the poem, the poet resolves the money madness matter by regaining our sanity, our wisdom about money. There should be a healthy vision for money, a rational attitude for money. Otherwise, we will be left stranded with the other side of this picture, that is quarreling, killing each other with insanity, madness for money, that is the sufferings and the deaths and all the criminal activities. So one thing or the other means here either the sanity or wisdom about money or the insanity or madness for money. So we have to choose either human survival or the eventual ruin. Okay, so in this way the poet has delineated about the great misery of a human race pertaining to money. Okay, and this poem was published in 1929 in the collection Pansies. And if we discuss about the poetic devices, this poem barely uses any such devices. But yes, it works through a good degree of imagery. Imagery means where the writer creates some mental images in the reader's mind. For example, in the lines that and if I have no money, they will give me a little bread so I do not die, but they will make me eat dirt with it. Okay, so this kind of imagery will find. And also repetitions, okay, so which intensifies the effect of the simplest words and phrases like I shall have to eat dirt, I shall have to eat dirt. So these are the things that you often find in this poem. So hope you understood. Thank you. Happy learning.